scheduled meeting of the Aransas County Navigation District. This is 9 o'clock. It is Monday. It is May the 20th. So the meeting is called to order. Let us begin, as we always begin, by the Pledge of Allegiance and the honoring of the Texas flag. May we stand. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you very much. Be seated. At this time, we have some citizens to be heard. So, the first one I'm going to ask to come forward and speak is Pat Russo. And Pat, of course, you need to turn on the microphone there.
Good morning. My name is Pat Russo, 187 here in Oaks in Rockport. And I just had a couple of questions. I know you're doing the accounts payable and the treasurer's report this morning. And I would ask a couple of things, if those could be shown on the board when they're being considered. Just for those who don't have the packet, it helps to share information. And I know that Commissioner De Leon had asked a few months ago about the credit card usage and having that broken down. And I noticed that on this month's report, there was a payment of over $6,000 to the card service center, which I believe is for credit card charges. And I didn't see where there was any additional information that showed how that was broken down. And I know that I had asked a few months ago, maybe 6 months ago, about a policy, the usage, what the oversight was, internal controls on signing off on those. And I'm not sure if that's ever been addressed.
Keith, can you address that, please?
Our credit card services, yes, it's a little higher than what we have been. I do have a breakdown, and I will go through that at the appropriate time when that's called. What you may not know, Pat, is we break down every charge, and it goes down to each category within our budget. I mean, I'm sure y'all do that as well. But you know, on this particular one, you got minor tools, you got postage, you got license, certain things people want to get paid at the time of service, so they don't want to get a check. We try to cut a check for every item we possibly can, but certain things we can't. But I will break that out, and yes, we do have a policy for every, and it's probably more strict than the counties for sure. Every charge that gets charged on a card has to go over my desk, and I have to sign off that that is a legitimate charge. Every one.
How long has that policy been in effect?
I don't know, 6 months, I guess.
Probably.
Mr. Rizzo, it added and fixed some, lots better than the way it was before.
Yes.
I agree.
We,
That's a good improvement.
Yes.
Thanks very much.
It's so tight that sometimes it's arduous.
but it has to be done. We have to be able to have visibility on each charge. Okay.
The next.
I'm sorry, I'm having a little trouble reading the first, PAU. Who is,
Is that you?
it's on drainage? Oh, there you go, sir. I'm sorry, I just don't see well anymore.
This thing working? Okay, my name is Ron Steiskell, and I've been a diver and a boater here in Rockport Marina for approximately 8 years or so. And what concerns me is this eminent domain that they want to dig a new ditch and empty it into the Rockport Marina. Since the courthouse is being built and they haven't put up any blockades to block the sediment and everything else going down in there, the harbor has become somewhat more, visibility has been lower than it normally is. And there has been debris that has been washed down from the courthouse and it comes in between the pecan house and Mother's Bait Shop, and if you get a real bad rain, the stuff that's been caught up in the storm drains all comes out and you can see it. I understand that here a few years ago, Little Bay was, the contamination readings were kind of off the chart, and I would hate to see anything like that happen to the Rockport Marina if that eminent domain goes through to build a drainage ditch into the Rockport Marina. That would be a very bad idea.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
And last but certainly not least, Pamela.
Good morning. Hey, I'm here to speak on the drainage also. And I'm extremely worried about the drainage system going into the harbor, directly into the harbor, or filtered into the harbor, because either way, we're putting a massive amount of water that's contaminated into a very small basin that has no egress other than coming, you know, it's doesn't have an ingress and an egress. It just has one basin, and it will contaminate it, and it will contaminate it much more than it already does. And it'll bring everything that's on the ground and everything that's in the drains and any sewage that overflows from anybody's septic or anything right into the harbor, which is a very small basin. And if we want to turn that into just a toilet bowl for Rockport, that might be acceptable, but to me it's not acceptable. And then Little Bay, which I sample and about 8 other people sample monthly, is being impacted. Our town is growing, and we are sending our sewage, our treated sewage water down Tule Creek right into Little Bay. And we're coming up with a new way to sample it starting next month, where we'll be sampling E. coli and other enteric bacteria in Little Bay. But Little Bay can't take more. We need to think beyond right now. We're expanding our growth, and we're talking about doubling the population of Rockport, and we haven't done anything with our sewage treatment center. So we're contaminating both our harbor and Little Bay, and people come here to recreate, and they come here to see birds, and and fish, and we're gonna annihilate the things they come here for. We're cutting down trees at an amazing rate, and the trees hold water. We're putting cement down, and we're thinking it's okay just to run all the fluids from the sewage treatment plant and the runoff from the ground right into those 2 small basins that only have one direction for water to come in and depart. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
By the way, we don't feel that way.
Yeah, thank you so very much. Okay.
And by the way, Pam is trained to do water quality testing and has been doing it for about 1.5 years, Pam?
Probably closer to
3
3.
years? Okay, time flies.
Okay. Item number 4 on the agenda is open meeting subjects for deliberation and/or action. Number 1 item is approval of the accounts payable list. Keith.
Yes, in your packet, you have an itemized list of the payables, with a total of $114,289.88. We try to do a pretty good job of putting an explanation by each one. But if you have any other questions, I'd try to answer those.
I'd like to make a comment. Just like you did the credit cards, you put names on them on the side as to whose bills they were on the credit cards.
Yeah.
I'd like to see the same thing on the uniforms, because we've got a lot of, every meeting that we have uniforms.
Every staff member we have has uniforms.
I understand that, but we clean them for them?
Yeah, let's do a
Yeah,
service.
the universe, yeah.
Wow,
That's why they look so sharp, man.
wow.
And obviously, as it gets hotter, they need to be cleaned more often. You know,
Okay, I didn't know we had a service.
Yeah, it's that whole service.
That's something that's probably.
Just like mechanic shops and others, I mean,
Well,
we
it's-
send our people out to do some pretty nasty
That's
jobs.
basically obsolete now with these new agencies and stuff. I mean, there's government agencies. Pat, does the county do they do a cleaning, a company that comes in and clean the uniforms? Yes? Thank you.
any other questions concerning accounts
Sorry.
payable? Keith, you have anything additional to say?
No, as you can see, we poor Miss Bree on the other side of the room, she gets all of our bills and she breaks out each one to a item number that goes back to our budget. That's what I was speaking when Pat was on there. That's a pretty arduous task, but for us to do that, it helps us in our budget cycle. We'll know exactly where every dollar is spent and what line item they go to. So when we go back and say we need more money for uniforms or for 2x4s or whatever, it's gonna go back to that. But that's a pretty big task when you get all the bills from the district each month and you have to break out each one. The credit card center bill alone, each one of those that you see has a charge that goes back to a line item in the budget.
I think Pat had a very good idea, however, that we could put this and present it on the board so that the folks out here can see the breakdown. Is that a particular arduous task, or?
No, we've gotta be able to switch quick enough from our,
Okay.
I mean,
So we can
Janine
do
does a
that
good
then.
job, but she's not a movie, producer.
But I thought that was a good idea, so in the future, we'll have a month that we can go ahead and do that and put that on the screen for everybody.
It's not the actual bill, but the breakdown.
So that being said, no.
I got a question. We've got, Sigwald for 13,550 for AC. Is that one unit? What
That was
building?
at the shop, our old unit finally, ended its life, and that is for the Fulton shops.
Place is like 18 years old,
Yeah,
something like
yeah.
that.
Any other questions? If not, I'll entertain the motion.
Make a motion to approve the account.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, second item. Approve treasurer's report. Pete?
Yes. Beginning cash was $6,671,220.25. Receipts, $290,087.99. Interest, $902.31. Disbursements, $201,420.37, for a total of $6,761,190.18. In our emergency fund, we have $1 million set aside in our bulkhead repair fund, $59,000, for a total available funds of $5,702,190.18.
Congratulations, it's hard to say that.
Golly, I didn't get tongue-tied on this one.
We probably should post this as well, since you're gonna be in the
We're always
group.
a month behind.
Yeah, there's no reason not to.
Yeah.
Any questions concerning the treasurer's report?
I'm assuming FEMA reimbursement is what's lacking in the major difference. The,
All these boxes you see all around us, that's our FEMA.
yeah, we got about a
Ongoing.
$2.2 million less available funds now than we did in '23, but we've also done a lot of work, so.
And we will get reimbursed for much of that. Any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'm gonna go ahead and do item 3 and get that out of the way. Item 3 is deliberation and possible action to adopt interlocal resolution number 11, Stormwater Management Technical Committee. That's on me. And you have a copy of the resolution. And I think that everyone else, David, is that not true? That everyone else has already adopted it?
With the exception of Reyes's pass.
Well, okay, well, we'll count them, I guess. Okay. Can you give us just a couple of minutes and tell us what this technical committee will consist of and how it will be such a positive influence here in Aransas County?
And what the problems are?
I'm sorry?
And what the problems are?
There are no
Well,
problems.
you know, we all know what our problems are.
You
Drainage.
start with the good stuff, come on.
Okay, so.
Challenges.
Challenges. So the county has had a stormwater advisory committee for 16 years now. And it was basically representatives from the elected officials, you know, with some regular citizens that were appointed to it, and they've done a great job. I think we've gotten to the point that we need something more technically oriented, and what I'm proposing is the Stormwater Management Advisory Committee is dissolved with this order, and a new technical committee is brought up in its place, and this would be more like staff level positions. And the idea is to get together with all the staff level people of the entities that are here and identify problems, identify solutions, look for grant funding, look into the feasibility of changing rules for drainage and stormwater management, so we're all on the same page. Drainage does not have a political boundary. You know, we're often draining from the county into the city, into the DAB district, and it makes sense for everybody to play with the same rules, look for the same goals, and that's the hope of what this committee will do. Do you have any questions?
When you say staff positions, I think we're all supposed to have our engineers on staff. This, you as the county, the city has their engineers, we have our engineers. Is that that technical person planned on being somebody that really knows what's going on?
Well, I know what's going on. Okay, so there is you know, the city of Rockport doesn't have a staff level engineer. Fulton doesn't have a staff level engineer.
We don't.
Y'all don't have a staff level engineer. But the city has appointed, and this is correct, Ryan Picarazzi, who has been dealing with drainage for years. And while not an engineer, he understands it, and that's a good thing. I understand that some entities might have a little trouble, you know, filling exactly the qualifications for the position. But I would like to see you fill it with whoever you can find, and they'll understand what your issues are, and be willing to work with everybody else to solve those issues. And you know, whether they're an engineer or not doesn't really matter. As time goes on, maybe I will have an engineer on staff, or maybe the next harbor master will be an engineer. I mean, who knows? Maybe Keith wants to be on this committee.
Can you go back to school?
Well, I've been on it several times.
You've been to it.
Over the year, over
Yeah.
that 16 years. So I think we've learned a lot from each entity and
Yeah.
what our particular issues are.
And I always felt that from a staff level, the entities work well with each other. We work with Keith, we work with Ryan, we work with Matt over in Fulton. We help each other out, and I think this committee will continue to help each other out. And this committee is not dictating what the entities will do. There will be times that we come to update you on what we're doing, and there'll be times that we recommend that y'all look at some changes in how you're doing things regarding stormwater management.
This is a good idea. What concerns me, and you just stated it, that we've all been doing this, and a lot of citizens and a lot of people have been doing this for 14 years, you said? 16 years, 16 years. And systems have been designed that don't meet the goals of the committee. Right. And how does this new committee change that in your mind. It's very young and it has not been established,
Right.
but it's been ignored before, and what's to say it won't be ignored again?
I think there are new players in all the different entities now, and I think there's more of a sense of let's deal with drainage in a way that is not just flood protection, but also water quality. And I don't want to minimize either. They're very important. You know, we are a community that thrives on people coming here to fish or sit at the beach or whatever it is. I mean, we're dependent on the water being pristine. We also are dependent on the drainage systems that we have in place working correctly, because, you know, we're the bottom of the hill. You know, when we get big rains, when we're in a rainy season and there's not the infiltration that we normally have, we have serious flooding problems, and we've had those over the years. I like to share this anecdote. When I was hired by the county 16 years ago as the drainage engineer, I was here for a solid year and didn't see a drop of rain. And I was thinking this was the easiest job I've ever had. And then it rained 12 inches.
That's where it is down here.
Yeah. And truthfully, the 12 inches wasn't terrible, but the 6 inches it rained the next month after everything was filled up, all the ponds were filled, all the ground was saturated, that was a problem. So, you know, we do have those drainage issues, and I am really just trying to build on the work that the Stormwater Committee had originally done and move it into the next step.
Well, this is definitely, in my opinion, a step in the right direction, and I would urge the commissioners to fully support it. It's not the end-all to end-all. There's going to be some changes done, there's going to be some improvements made, but it is a step on all of us working together to identify, like you said, not only flooding issues, but environmental issues also, so.
Correct.
Any other questions? I, of course, recommend that we adopt it along with the city who's already adopted it, and everybody but Aransas Pass.
Right.
Do you feel that it's in its infancy as it going, but do you feel that the way it's structured that we can give it a little more oomph, either politically or policy-wise?
I expect that this committee will change over time. I couldn't predict how it will change, but my thought is let's get it started, and as we recognize things that we need to do differently, we'll take those to the entities that we represent and make those changes.
It's a good start, for sure.
Yep.
Do you have any questions? Do you have any questions?
It's a plus. Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the resolution number 11 for the joint resolution for Aransas County and to be the Stormwater Technical Committee.
I'll second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Thank you,
Very
David.
good. Thank you, David. Item number 4, it shouldn't take long. Letter of support for postdoctoral research for PhD Nicole Powers, Department of Life Science, Texas A&M University of Corpus Christi, to pursue a CMP grant for research and testing of Little Bay during our peak tourist, that is our summer season, regarding water quality. Keith?
Yes. What Ms. Powers is trying to do is kind of duplicate a study that we were a part of several years ago that typed all the different bacteria that was found in Little Bay. That was very helpful from being human, being bird, being canine or whatever, to help us identify what was really polluting the water. But when that original study was done, all the test data was gathered in the off-season months. She's wanting to apply for a CMP grant to be able to gather those samples and do a duplicate of that original study in the times of the year that we have the most people, the most birds, the most traffic.
And the water's
to-
hotter.
And the water's warmer. There's a reason why you oyster in the winter, is because the water temperature's colder, there's less natural bacteria present. So she wants to get a real, true snapshot of what we're dealing with. And I think a letter of support in her application for that CAP grant would be a great thing. Not only her being a doctor in that type of science, she uses a lot of doctoral students to help in this. You know, information is key for us, and to have a study of like this done in an area, especially with the topics that we're speaking on today, I think we'd be foolish not to support her application.
Absolutely, and for those that don't know, that study did show some pretty significant human markers in Little Bay off and on that off-season project. So to do it when don't we double our water usage on big weekends? Is that
Certainly on big weekends, yeah.
more than that? Yes, ma'am?
Will you get the results of the studies?
Sure.
Yeah.
Are you sure you'll get all the results?
Oh, yes, and we'll make those.
Are you talking about test results or study results?
Both. Test
Yeah,
results
All the above.
we can do that. Yeah, absolutely.
So they're public.
Yeah. Well, that being said, I make a motion that we approve the letter of support to get the grant to keep that going.
I'll second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Very good. At this time, I ask Vanessa and the city to come forward and speak to us so that all the commissioners and the public knows about Council Street drainage. So Vanessa, if y'all would come forward. Thank you for coming and being here. We appreciate it.
The presentation I have is the same one that I have done for council, so you may have already seen this, but it may spur some questions if you haven't.
Thank y'all.
Bye-bye.
So as you know, we're looking to get an easement from basically Austin to Concho Street across Veterans Memorial Park. Let's see. Should just be able to get- Here's where we are for reference. Of course, we are looking for a drainage easement into the harbor. Currently, we discharge where the blue pipe is, the blue arrow is, out of a 42-inch pipe, I believe. What we're proposing is a 3x6 box where the yellow arrow is. Looks yellow up here, it says orange, but whatever, we get it. This is the easement, underground easement, about 20 foot wide. I think it's 160 feet long, something to that effect. There is an existing pipe in the area underground already. So the most important part of the presentation is this is the basin that drains into that, so you would want to, turn it north, but we couldn't get a good view of it that way. Well, I'm sorry, it is north, turn it upside down. There's about 280 structures in here that are at risk for flooding without the completion of this project. One of the things that this does is this is the same basin that flows in there now through the 42-inch. The basin area has not changed, has not increased nor decreased. But some projects around here have, that we've completed up here and over here, have reduced the potential for overflow over 35 into this basin. So we're trying to get everything draining into the correct basin, based on location. So, do you have any questions about that before I go forward?
What is the acreage? Approximately?
This is 182, almost 200 acres.
And until recently, it's flowed into different areas.
This has always gone into the harbor. The other areas in large flooding come over here and
So-
get into this area. So we're reducing potential overflow and restricting it to just this highlighted area with other projects. So in a large rain, the engineering on this will reduce what goes into the harbor in a large rain, reduce the area, because it won't be receiving overflow from other basins. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll keep
Thank
going.
you.
The city's divided into basin. The harbor basin flows into Rockport Harbor with or without intervention. This is where Mother Nature sends it, or as we've built the environment where it sends it, whichever you would like to decide. Intervention captures it and directs it as opposed to unmitigated sheet flow. Captured stormwater from the basin currently goes into the harbor in a 42-inch pipe. We're proposing to basically pour it out of a cup rather than run it through a straw. The project does not increase the water discharge, and the actual completion will slow the velocity by 2/3. I've included that engineering report. I know you can't read it up here. I brought handouts if anybody would like to see it, but there's the calculations that shows the reduction in velocity. So again, instead of blowing it out through a straw, we're gonna be pouring it out of a cup.
Did they do, any modeling to come up with those figures?
Yes, and
Like
they're-
for a 1-inch rain, 2-inch rain, 5-inch rain? I mean, that's not much data to prove that point.
let's see. Let's go back.
I've seen that a lot.
Previous, it's not a lot of data, it's a lot of math. I don't know that she did inch per inch modeling. She did the velocity on a regular flow. You know, I've said it to everybody, there's a level of rain and flooding on this peninsula that cannot be engineered. So at some, 21 inches of rain, the water's probably gonna go where it wants to go, and there's not much we can do to direct it, but,
That question is on a 5-year rainfall event, so I don't know if it's a 1 inch or half inch, it's something like that, it's a 5-year. And that's what the county and the city have adopted in their stormwater master plans from years back. But that's what you design, that's what we design things to.
So when you get high tide, the drains are gonna be
Full of
full.
seawater.
And then we get, about 2 or 3 hours of rainfall, where's it gonna go?
it happens,
It
it
has-
happens all over the peninsula.
Yeah.
Every drainage basin in the peninsula is gonna flood. We live on a peninsula at sea level.
Yeah.
You are
So-
going to flood.
Yeah, so I'm basically trying to get everybody to understand this is not,
Miracle.
no flood,
It's-
No flood zone.
It's
It's
not
gonna
the
flood.
end all be all.
it's gonna flood, no matter what, I mean, if it gets full.
If we
Again,
get the 20-inch rain, we're gonna flood.
there is a level that cannot be engineered. I don't care what you do. We're trying to make the best decision in the best interest of the people and structures that are
Sure.
in the area. We can do what ifs all day, but we can't engineer to every what if.
This is like a hurricane, I've been waist deep water down Water Street,
Yeah.
getting people out of there.
You live on Water Street.
No, ma'am, I used to work for the.
No, I'm saying these
You
people
wish to
live on Water Street.
That's what it's called, right? Water.
All the streets become water streets.
So, like I said, we have to make the best practical decisions that we can. And there's still gonna be Mother Nature, there's still gonna be act of God, whatever you wanna call it. But, like I just said, the projects north and south of this are underway or designed and completed to reduce the overflow into the basin. Catch ponds won't work for this area because the area is so large. There's no rerouting that's really an option because of the natural topography. And then again, it's the same 280 structure. You think I know how to use it by now? It's the same, forget it. 280 structures that are at risk. So this is from the basin overflow that we had maybe less than 2 years back, I think just before I got here. But this is what we're trying to reduce. Going forward, we have partnered into the agreement that you guys just entered into. Hopefully we'll get a Ramses pass on there very quickly. The one thing that our stormwater master plan is missing is environmental considerations. And so when the countywide master plan is adopted, this stormwater committee will adopt and administer that plan, so that will add that element to our master plan. However, we have done sediment basins in this plan. The boxes have sediment basins. Catch basins, excuse me.
Called Ware Awesome.
I'm sorry?
That's the name of
think it's called Weir.
A weir?
Yeah. It's just the name of it too.
Okay. So we've adopted BMPs for our current and future projects, the one that he just spoke about. And then again, we're making sure each basin drains to its intended, point and has the correct size outfall for what it's draining. This is just back to the area that we're talking about. I said 280 structures here. That's not houses or anything like that. It's just me counting each little box. So we have the new municipal buildings in there. We have quite a few businesses. We have several homes and things like that, so.
This is a little more technical, but if you look at the size of the red and then you look at the size of the little harbor on the end, that's, I mean, it's a little outnumbered. In your calculations, you know, right now, unless we have a hurricane or a real high tide event, we've never put water from the harbor up on to Veterans Park Road or Seabreeze. You believe with this amount of volume going in on a, let's say a 5-inch rain, are we gonna overflow the harbor into the streets and overtake all of my docks and piers with just a, you know, 4 or 5-inch rain?
So if we go back to what I said, we're not changing the amount of water that we're putting in there. The same basin right now plus some goes into there.
No, I agree. But what I'm saying is before, it used to take 12 hours to flow in there. If it flows in 2 hours, did you calculate enough water going out that singular mouth of the harbor to keep the whole harbor from overtopping? I guess that's my question.
So what Brad had said is we captured the 5-year event. I'm not an engineer, and I can't tell you. We all know that drainage is not one-to-one, so putting this into the harbor is not 200 acres gonna run into the harbor and, you know, make it rise above whatever and cause a tsunami on land. We are already putting this water in there. We're putting it faster.
Exactly.
And so we're gonna slow.
That's what I said.
And so,
The faster it goes, the more it feels quicker.
I'm sorry, we're putting it in faster now.
Right.
So we will slow it down,
Well, the velocity will slow
Velocity,
down.
but
Yeah,
not
no doubt.
volume.
not the volume, you're
The
correct.
volume is what I'm worried about, it overtopping the harbor and going up on the roads and overtaking all the docks and piers
Sure.
and electrical services. If,
Well, my belief is that if it hasn't already, it won't, but I can't guarantee that. Again, there's an amount that cannot be engineered. This is the appropriate way to put it in there to protect the homes and whatnot. You might wanna jump
How's
on
it
this.
gonna protect them if it's the same amount going to the same place?
Getting it out quicker.
it's going out
It'll
quicker.
go out faster.
That was my worry about the
Sure.
Let me just,
Go ahead.
yeah, I just wanna clarify. what-
Can you?
Who are you?
I'm sorry, my name's Bradford Bullock, I'm the attorney for the city.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And,
Nice to meet you.
good to meet y'all, and so, again, I'm no engineer, I'm probably the dumbest person in the room, but the point of the engineering study was to demonstrate that the outflow, this reduces the the current velocity now is X, whatever that is.
Right.
According to the engineers, the velocity following after this project will be X minus whatever. And so because that velocity is reduced, it allows what's going into the harbor to drain out
To
naturally
drain out
where it
faster.
goes already. So I mean, that's the point of this now. Again, that's what the engineers tell us, but
that was my point of asking about the modeling, because yes, it will slow the velocity down, just like putting your finger over the end of your water hose. You restrict that, it's gonna flow real fast. Now you're opening up to a wider stream, but that wider stream's gonna drain the 200 acres faster. So what might have took 12 hours to reach the harbor, now may reach the harbor in 2 hours. My ask was the modeling, did it take into account that much volume, not velocity, volume hitting the harbor at the same time with only one exit point? Is it going to overflow the harbor into the streets of Rockport?
That's a good question, and I don't know that I'm qualified to answer it, but my understanding of what the engineer says is that because the volume isn't changing, it's the same, you got one cup of water.
I
got that. We got that.
Okay, so then if you pour it out slower, if you pour it from one cup to the other slower, it allows it to drain out slower, to dissipate slower. And so I mean, the purpose of this project is to slow that velocity into the harbor.
And then it'll,
But
if
you're not
it comes in,
slowing,
I'm
you're
sorry, hold
slowing
on.
the flow at a small thing.
One at a time, please.
Sorry.
Let's listen to what Vanessa has to say.
The
Real,
exit rate should
Let her
match
know.
the entry rate here. This isn't gonna just flood, you have an exit here. So it's not gonna stop it right here and just say, oh, we're gonna rise.
No, it was just that was just a question about modeling.
The modeling.
because It would have shown that, because if you're putting more volume quicker, no matter how fast it's coming, you're putting more volume in at a faster rate. That means the rise of the harbor is going to happen quicker. I didn't know if the modeling was going to show where we're going to get overtopping.
The
And
modeling was done in 2016,
Yeah.
and with the city's master drainage plan.
So it did not.
To reiterate the 2001.
Yes, this has been in place since 2016, I'm sorry. This has been actually planned since 2007, and we do have the modeling from 2016. Please
And
go ahead.
the reason from my position why I asked that is I have hundreds and hundreds of yards of electrical cables that are suspended on docks and piers. That if we do get that overtopping, overnight, and we weren't aware that it was gonna happen, we could short out, the entire harbor system and all the boats that are in it. That's concerning. Also, the bait stands are over water, and it could rise up into each one of those businesses. So knowing the volume and how quick that volume can escape that small harbor is important, because we're gonna have to set up schedules if we have to come down here in the middle of the night and kill all the power to the entire harbor so we don't have electrical shorts and things like that. We do that during tropical events. What you may not know is we do get overtopping during tropical events, hurricanes and tropical storms, where we go down and we black out the harbor and do those type of things. I didn't know if we gonna have to be
Okay.
prepared to do this on every rain event.
No, so
I
can
would
you talk
argue-
about the
I would
model?
argue that the water would get there anyway, by sheet draining, as we stack up the water, if it doesn't get there through the 42, it's gonna stack up and find
And
its
go
way
across
back
the top before it,
across the top of the
it'll go
stream.
across the top before it rises up to go back. So
That
in
makes
tropical
sense.
storms and things like that, you're still gonna have to do the
No,
same
no,
thing.
and we
Well,
always do it.
Well, a question has been asked, and we've talked about it. I think probably we're just not sure what the impact is gonna be, which we probably can't know. what the
Mother Nature
impact
will
be.
tell us.
However, I do have a question. You mentioned projects to take care of overflow. Where are those projects located?
We have one on Market Street that
Here-
takes care of, it starts
Here you
at,
go, Ryan, this isn't even ours, but go ahead.
it starts,
Mark.
it starts down here at Market, and it takes care of the Hackberry, James Street, Hackberry. If you drove it back there, you notice the working on there. And it ties into the existing pipe on Market Street, and it goes down to Murray Street and out to Water Street. But now we're also tying into the one in Market that's gonna outfall just south of the Rockroy.
I've seen that one, yeah, okay,
Yes.
that's one of them. But
Yes.
there's another
That's
one though?
complete.
That's the one, so that's the one that's gonna go take care of the Market Street, that kind of area.
Right.
The other one, which is in, not litigation yet, but,
Perpetual construction,
yeah, is in, what do you call it?
perpetual construction.
Perpetual construction. It is running down Orleans Street, Sabinow, from Sabinow, west of Pearl Street.
Well, we're familiar with Orland Street situation too.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
We finally got gravel on it, so,
I noticed that, congratulations, that's good.
so you don't have to put a full drive on the street.
So,
This was a set of 5 projects, and there's another one that's further north, but I'm not super sure where it goes because it was completed before I got here.
Okay.
So there's a series of 5 projects.
so I have a question to expand on that. You're saying that those projects will be able to, in extreme rain events, take some of the overflow that would normally be coming into Rockport Harbor, and it will siphon over to those 2 systems, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Do we have any idea what kind of rain event we're talking about? And to talk about that question a little bit more, could they be designed in a sense that some of that overflow that could flood out our harbor could indeed be routed into this southern system, which is going into Aransas Bay? Could we lessen the impact by doing that?
So the basins are based on the elevations, the natural elevations of, and so we're not trying to send water from this basin to Market Street. It would be difficult without the use of pumping, and pumping gets expensive and maintenance, we all know how good we are at maintenance. So, it becomes impractical to try to send water uphill.
And then we're doing the same thing and sending it to another basin to potentially flood them.
But the projects, what they're intended to do, yes, sir, is alleviate the ability of water to cross basins.
Right.
And therefore add more water to this basin.
Gotcha. Thank you.
What size is the pipe we're using today?
42 inch,
And what size is the new pipe?
3 by 6.
3 by 6.
So the one that's in there is 3 by 6.
The one that's in the bulkhead.
In the
yes.
bulkhead?
Yes, sir.
Right now it's 3 by 6. And how big are those culverts y'all are putting in?
Those are 3 by 6.
It's only 3 by 6?
Yes.
It's 3 by 6 all the way to 35.
So, and for some history, I don't know which of you were here, but in 2007, you guys voted to quote-unquote allow us to drain in there. It's in your meeting minutes. And then in 2008, you voted to put the boxes in, that when funding for this exact project became available, that we would be able to hook into it. So this isn't a new project to anybody.
I was.
And I was too.
Yeah.
The bulkhead was getting, engineered and put in. They allowed a penetration through that. So once this time came, we didn't have to rip up the streets and break into a new bulkhead. But it didn't really describe the drain field. It was just for future consideration. That could have been just draining some of Austin Street. It didn't say it was gonna drain 200 plus acres. It was just for future consideration, and that's what was really discussed at that.
And it also didn't say it didn't have any stormwater pollution prevention either.
Well, do you have more of the presentation?
I
Are we clear
don't,
about
I'll
that?
answer any questions you have.
Any questions?
Have any improvements been done to the existing pipe where it goes into that ditch on the other side of 35?
No, sir. What, such as?
Well, in the plans, I see it terminates just on the other side of 35, draining that basin through the same ditch that y'all improved for the new one. So is that one gonna be taking any,
There is,
Maybe at the-
on the city's master drainage plan currently, which will probably maybe tweak a little bit, when the technical committee gets together, but on the cities right now, it calls for, additional pipe to come from this swamp right here to over here, but this could be all utilized as a large catch basin.
That's where there's obviously there's no development at this time.
It's a hole.
Yeah.
It goes from like 13-foot elevation down to 9.
is that privately owned?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So what I see, and correct me if I'm wrong, we've got a great improved pipe at 35, bringing off the drainage in the ditches, going down the new pipe all the way and then picking up the government complex, as I call it. And it's just, I think, upstream from the existing.
Yes, sir.
It's gonna hit that first.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. But there's
It's on
no,
these plans right here, Tom.
yeah, and what the plans just terminate it right there in that ditch, is what I saw.
Are we talking about up here?
The existing
The
Concho
existing-
Street,
The existing, is on this side of Concho, on the east side, east side of 35. It does not cross,
oh, it doesn't cross.
no, sir. It's got, sediment boxes right here. Stuff does cross, but I think that pipe stops right somewhere center line.
So how's it getting across the
I'd
highway?
have to look at that.
It goes under the highway now on the plan.
The new one
And then you got those big, pipes that, with just the big burglar bars on it to keep trees out of
The
it.
existing?
That's what's going in now,
Well, the
that's
new
according to
one.
the
No, no,
plan.
but the
We've already
existing,
done the cut.
yeah, but I'm just asking about the existing and any improvements. The plans just show it terminating, I thought on the other side of 35, which means it's pulling all that out of that ditch and thus draining your basin like you say it is.
Is the New Orleans, system already hooked up?
No, sir.
What-
It's on an alternate route right now.
That's a different kettle of fish.
It drains appropriately, not necessarily properly, but it drains, it's rerouted to drain,
The big system y'all put in, the 3x5s, okay.
that we're trying to put in.
Still argue.
To complete.
To answer your question, it
I
does.
have a technical question, has to do with the capacity of the pipes. I know on the plans that you have an interconnection between the 42-inch and the new box
Yes, sir.
culvert. What's the purpose of the interconnection and what's the effect?
More drainage?
The reason that happened was, when we received the trespass order from the navigation district, the construction was underway on the courthouse and the city hall, the government complex, and, the pipe runs underneath the government complex. So we had to make the emergency tie-in in order to get water, across that block. The existing drainage pipe was
That was a temporary solution.
temporary solutions to tie them, because 3x6 was already running all the way past that, and they were gonna charge, both entities $1,000 a day, or.
Yeah,
or-
something
or
very
greater.
large.
And we did take a hit already, because it took about a month to put that pipe in and make the emergency connection, and so we did take a hit from the contractor.
Is there still a plan to join those?
They will,
There's the plan to leave them as they are.
Okay, so they'll be independent
yes, sir,
and no improvements on the other side?
the other side will.
The existing pipe?
It fixed.
Okay.
It gets
Existing
nothing.
Prior. And, Cap, to answer your question, the existing 42 does cross 35 just south of the, where.
Right,
It drains the basin.
right. Okay.
So
But-
when you saw that picture she showed of all that water was backed up by Camper Clinic and by that convenience store and down towards Discount Auto, all of that water's gonna run on that side of the road into the harbor
Right.
based on that
I'm
layout.
just,
That's not
my
correct.
question was based on the additional capacity to open up 2 pipes, one big, one small, and keep that going, so.
Where's that going?
That will go down Concho, that family kitchen. The, Camper Clinic should hit the Market Street.
Market Street.
Right.
But right now it's
Discount.
flooding because,
It's
the
overtopping,
basins are.
overtopping, blending.
Right.
How much rain was that, those pictures?
Oh, that was that big.
20 in July?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that was,
Which we can't.
So that's, you're not gonna change that?
no,
Hopefully we can mitigate some of it, but
yeah.
20-inch rain, we can't.
All bets are off.
But by the way, at this point, I will say, I'm all for getting the water off the land away from people's houses.
I think we all are. Yeah. Any other,
One more question. The, original master plan that you're looking at, I think, is based on a 5-year rain cycle.
that's what, yeah.
That is a more extreme, and so are all your engineering calculations here based on?
The 5-year event. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
By the way, for those that don't know, Jerry Benedum is our,
Legal counsel.
what do we call it? General counsel.
Well, he's pretty legal though. Okay, any other questions?
Yes, I got a question here.
Go ahead.
The question is, the cut that y'all going through the Veterans Memorial, you said 20 foot, that's just a pipe.
That's the easement request.
The easement
The
request
pipe
is 20
only
feet.
6
So-
feet wide.
So then when you get your bulldozers and your cranes, whatever, to lay the pipe, it's gonna be a little bit wider? Or that's gonna be
We
the
haven't
workload?
proposed a construction easement,
Okay.
so.
Yeah, that's,
So
We're
I-
proposing the 20 feet to put a 6-foot pipe in.
So as soon as that get put in, how long is it gonna be before y'all come back, or the company comes back and levels it up and gets it all back the way it was? We're gonna have the same situation we have on Concho Street right now, still a mess?
No, sir.
Or David's Road,
No.
still
We
waiting?
got ground on it for them.
Yes, you did.
Give us a break.
No, sir, it is,
That's the only thing that's
the
concerned.
construction documents haven't been released, because that's gonna be unfortunately a change order. But the city's intent, and I can't speak for everybody, but it would be to, get it back to, as it is or better as soon as possible.
Right.
Is there a determination on how many trees are gonna have to be removed, if any?
I think one, Chairman, I think one right now will need to be removed. We're gonna try it, we discussed trying to
And we're
spade
proposing
it, pick it
spading
up,
it.
and put it back. The
We
only
can't
problem is
put
I
it
don't
back
know if
where
the
it came
roots-
from.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
do
it,
that.
that's it.
So we do have.
I think that's the least of our worry.
We'll have
do
to
have-
relocate.
Maybe, but I
it.
had a question.
Yeah.
We do have the tree ordinance, the city's tree ordinance, and
Yeah.
we are going to follow that to the letter, if not better.
Okay.
So if you want more trees down there, we have plenty of
We
trees.
got trees.
Any other questions?
I'd like to hear from y'all's position on the technical advisory committee and how it can guide us in the future, us being all of us, when it hadn't guided us in the past.
Sure, I'd like to speak to that. We, ideally, everybody will adopt the master plan. The hope is that the technical committee works the master plan. Historically, we've just been draining to each other. We drain to the county drains back to us. It's completely counterproductive. And the intent is we're all following the plan and we take the priorities of the plan. We work them in order of the plan. We seek funding in order of the plan because it's gonna be prioritized for the best interest of the entire peninsula. We put our technical people on there and taken politicians out of it because they know what the water does, they know what it looks like, and they're prepared to make the best decisions in the interest of the entire peninsula and not just their entity. Everybody has an equal seat at it, so nobody has an advantage. It's just work the plan. That's all it's gonna be.
Okay, and the reason we're all here today is because the district is trying to get stormwater pollution protection into that system, the one that goes right into the harbor. It has not been lost on me that 4 others or 5 others, other projects you mentioned, is it 4 or 5? 5 total?
There's 5 total.
5 total, so 4 other projects have also been designed with no stormwater pollution protection in them. And that's the big rub here, and that's the problem we're gonna solve. I will say that we have gone much further than we've ever gone, and I truly appreciate that. But we still have some major hurdles, and my biggest point is, or my biggest goal is to get this stormwater pollution protection in one way or another, and the fact that we're only on a 5-year reign and all of our problems for the most part have been caused by 10 or 20, maybe even 50-year reigns, kind of changes it up a little bit. But my biggest point is the desire has not been there. We've gone further than we have, but I see a roadblock coming, and that is why I'm so interested in what this technical advisory committee can do to be sure that things are done right in the future and anywhere possible on these new ones that were designed with no stormwater protection, that they get retrofitted somehow.
So
But right now, it's Concho.
Well,
the 4 of us, we met, we had a handshake agreement that the city would allow any pollution prevention that came along or was recommended by the technical committee to be installed into the project. We don't have a problem with that. Hopefully, there's grant funding coming. We would love to see the technical committee work on that and manage that, because that would be a very good first project and a very good win for them.
But they're not designed originally in new
look,
construction phase.
that's
in there.
history, that took place, that is something that we know, but we're now moving towards the future. I'm not gonna let the history determine the future.
Well, I can tell you that none of the people on our council now were in position, nor was I when this was designed. So we're trying to move forward. We're trying to satisfy what you guys want. We're trying to do what's in the best interest of the citizens and cover all bases with what we've got. And we're willing to do that. Like I said, we've worked out a handshake agreement. I'm very confident that that agreement is a good one and would be followed, should you guys vote to approve that. But you guys are gonna have to make your decision, but we're more than amenable to the sediment basin being installed.
Well, and working through the technical committee is the way to do it. I mean, I think that's a no-brainer.
They need a win. They need a win
That's right.
quick, and that's an easy one for them.
Yeah, it's a step in the right direction, and we can look at the history, but this is today, and we look to the future, and I think that's a great path to get some of the corrections needed corrected.
I would like to clarify, we did not have a handshake agreement. We had a negotiation session that we came back and said we're gonna
Well,
redo
look.
the agreement. And
Okay.
can I speak, please? And we see this agreement, and the whole, what it looks like to me in the whole thing, you say you're gonna do this, but you put all responsibility on everybody else.
Well,
Is
that's
what I
what we
see
had
in that agreement, and
talked
that's our
about.
problem with it, and that's what I see coming to a head this week.
Well,
And
perhaps-
hopefully we can get past it.
Perhaps that
So the
is-
agreement says exactly what we're
Says you're
talking
not
about.
gonna maintain it, you're gonna own
It
it,
doesn't
and
say that.
everybody else is gonna do it.
Okay.
It
But
says we are gonna
let's-
maintain
We'll
it.
do that next week when we can have a little bit
Okay,
more productive.
That is not necessary for this discussion.
I
right
agree,
now.
I'm sorry.
Yes, Pam, and then we're gonna let them.
Will TxDOT be on the technical committee, or will they be able
No.
to just randomly do whatever they want on the highway that has caused flooding like down Market Street before?
So TxDOT does what it wants anyway. However, our area is considerate enough to meet with us. Our technical committee kind of already meets on big projects, and TxDOT is a part of that.
Is TxDOT officially gonna be
No.
on the technical committee?
They're gonna do what they want. They're nice enough to ask our opinion sometimes.
Sometimes.
How about the state?
By the way, I just want to clarify, our agreement does say that we will maintain it.
We'll talk about it next week,
Anyway.
Everybody heard it now, so we're good.
Okay. Any other questions?
this week.
If not, I want to thank you so very much for coming.
Absolutely.
And talking to all of us about this. I appreciate it.
Thank you. You cleared a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff's clear.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Pam,
Thank you, Brad.
Pat.
The agenda did say possible action. Will there be any possible action taken on this item today?
It is after the closed session.
Thank you.
I wouldn't
Okay.
hold my breath.
Harbor Master updates, item number 5.
I'll try to keep this pretty brief. As you know, we're coming into our summer season. We have a lot of events going on. Right now, we're prepping and working with the Texas Maritime Museum for the wine festival that's coming up in the next week period of Memorial Day.
Here comes the noise.
Wow. Dealing with these events, TABC and other organizations to be able to us to have a alcohol served party is quite intense. But that is probably one of our nicest events down here on the harbor. Also, we had the Kite Festival not that long ago. It was very well attended. The market days are happening each month, weather permitting. We've had our weekly sailboat races. It's getting a lot of press. A lot of people love, even if you're not a sailor, or maybe even if your kids are already grown, a lot of people like to get their a refreshment and sit down and watch what's going on in Little Bay with the sailboats. It's been really well attended and a lot of participants. I also had several meetings along with some of my staff with regard to TxDOT Maritime, trying to look forward to other grant funding opportunities, not necessarily this one. They did have their concerns over this project as well, and they voiced those to me. The one issue is our dredging, future dredging. But overall, I think our staff is pretty much ready for what's coming. The traffic flow, I would ask the city and others to put out some public service announcement on our big weekends like Memorial Day and others. If you don't need to go down Business 35, take alternate routes. Use, the bypass, use Pearl Street, use alternate routes. If you don't need to be right down here in the middle of it, then don't, because I know it angers many of our long-term residents about the traffic, but this is where they're coming. Be prepared, and if you don't want to get embroiled in it, use alternate routes. And and I'm gonna leave that.
On those big weekends, if you'll, or anytime you have something going on, if you'll just email us, we'll use our, we'll use everything we've got to just be sure you email us and, we'll.
Ahead of time.
I mean, we have the roads that we have, they have the capacity that they have, so I was just trying to push out that if you don't need to be in that area, don't. Babes by the Bay tournament, happened, probably some of the most intense fishing you'll see is by the ladies in the Babes by the Bay tournament. I think it was pretty well. The wind did give them a slight break compared to what it was for the last month. It seemed like it blew 30 miles an hour each day. So congratulations on all the ladies who participated in that big tournament.
I have two things for you.
Gotcha.
I got, somebody complained to me that the grounds at the Babes in the Bay, that belongs to us.
It's
Is the city-
it's leased to the town of Fulton.
Okay, maybe you can contact the town of Fulton and tell them they need to grade it or fill up the holes that they have. There was a couple of people that failed.
Okay.
They weren't drunk, they just
Fail.
fell in a hole
Fail in the hole.
and they dropped.
And we'll work with them
Yeah,
on that.
so I don't know the legal issue. The second one is, the email that I sent you on the, docking poles that are rotten and tore down and hanging by limb, to try to get those fixed as soon as possible. I noticed there were some, poles in Fulton Harbor laying down there. You're gonna put some,
Those are new ones that are going in Fulton Harbor.
okay?
The ones at Cove Harbor, we're already working with the contractor on when they can come over and remove those. That's gonna be a big job. That's gonna take a crane and barge and so forth.
Right.
We'll work around the contractor schedule and also the boater schedule. But remember, those pilings that they tie their vessels up to will be theirs, not ours. That was leftovers of old configurations from past leasers. So we will remove those old piling, but they'll need to make arrangements on how they want to eventually move
It's my
forward.
understanding they were saying that they're willing to pay for the removal of them. So,
We'll do that.
Which pilings in Cove Harbor?
right there by a member
In the
of-
corner where now the Benavides family leases, it
Oh,
used
okay.
to be the Pash
The
lease, it's right there in that little coffin corner.
Just warm them out down the bottom,
Sure.
rotten pieces. I mean, there's cut off half of the post.
Yeah, oh, I've seen it, I just didn't remember.
Yeah, right there by, what's the other guys?
By the Casper's.
Casper.
Okay,
Thank you.
number 5, nothing else. Number 6, I think we've discussed environmental issues. I don't have anything to add to it at this time. Does anybody else?
Oh, Pam. Pam's going to hold another training session in here for some other naturalists that's going to be on the testing program. What was that, next month on the 10th?
The 12th
12th?
and 13th, they're doing the E. coli cards.
Yes.
Aren't you looking for more volunteers?
Yes.
We've assigned 3 more sites, especially with what's going on in Rockport Harbor. There's going to be 3 sites that was not on our past list. In Rockport Harbor, they're going to be taking samples, so we'll start gaining data once those people are trained up.
Good, very good.
And Mike, can you put out, please, that we are looking for more volunteers to do testing? It's very simple, easy training. Pam, how long does it take typically
Day
to,
and a half of training, which is the 12th and 13th.
here or there?
Here is
Good.
the day and a half of training, and then we sample once a month, the second Wednesday. And depending, the harbor will be shorter than, like mine is walking down Tule Creek. Now there's an alligator there again.
You can beat that gator.
That takes us about 2 hours and 45 minutes, once a month, to go down there. And then we're also gonna be entering all the data on our phones instead of, manually writing it up and then sending it to them, so
Okay,
that'll all be covered in the training.
very good.
So, at the most, if you have 3 sites, it'd be 3 hours. The harbor would be simple, cause you can just drive to each one and do them.
An hour, 30 minutes?
You have to do a chemical, the
2 hours?
chemicals have to, you have to measure them and pour them and, titrate them. So that takes what it takes. You can't change that amount. If there's real heavy sediment that has to settle, then it might take you 40 minutes at each one. Other days,
Okay.
it just settles like that here quick.
Okay.
So 3 hours at the most.
Okay. She's just needing volunteers, and we've been talking about it. We'll get it out.
Okay, anybody have anything under number 6? I do not have anything.
Bueno.
If not, press questions.
On this information Tommy was asking about, yeah, just generally just have them call the district office and they'll give them the information.
And we will get them set up with Pam and the training. It's always nice to have more volunteers, especially when she's getting ready for a training session. That now's the time.
When will be the next training? You said
The 12th and 13th.
June.
And
June.
it's Texas Stream Team training. These are called citizen scientists. So they're volunteers.
Whose project is Texas Stream Team?
The Meadows.
Thank you.
Okay.
Dun, dun, dun.
Well, I want to thank everyone for being here. However, at this time, I have something to read, and after I read it, we will close the open session and go into an executive session. The commission will recess this open meeting and conduct a closed meeting pursuant to the Texas Open Meetings Act to conduct a private consultation with its attorney under section 551.071 of the Act to deliberate regarding real property under section 551.072 of the Act to deliberate regarding personnel matters under section 551.074 of the Act. Following the closed meeting, the commission will reconvene into an open session. We do have an action item. The action item is discuss and possible action regarding Council Street Drainage Project and its effects on Aransas County Navigation District property. Thank you all for being here. It is, whatever time it is, the open session.
make sure you use your mic. We're having some, transmission issues.
Okay, it is 11:21. We will now go back into open session. Item number 7, discussion and possible action regarding Council Street Drainage Project and its effects to Aransas County Navigation District property. I will entertain a motion to table.
Were you gonna say something?
I am, but I want the motion.
I think you ought to do it, and then we'll.
I'll make a motion to table
Okay.
for further discussion with the attorneys.
In discussion, before I accept a second, I'm proposing that we continue our negotiations with the city as their current agreement is, we cannot accept it. We cannot accept it because it does not provide the protection to our property that is necessary. We feel that the city should take appropriate action to provide that protection. However, we want to reach an agreement. We recognize the seriousness of the flooding issues, so I'm going to ask our attorney to speak to the city attorney. At the same time, I will speak to a city's representative to see if in the next week or so, we can reach an agreement that is acceptable to both parties. I realize how essential it is to do this. So we will continue the efforts. Progress has been made, but we're not there yet because we must discuss environmental and protection issues on district property. So I have a motion to table. Do I have a second?
Okay, second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. No opposition. So the motion is tabled. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second. All in favor say
Hey.